Welcome to After the Show, your weekly movie podcast brought to you by A. Scully and Sid Talk. We're addicted to movies. Are you? Hello, everybody. Welcome to After the Show. Hello, Sid Talk. How are you?
I'm very good. You're so much more chipper when you do that.
I am.
It's a little bit put on, just so people know.
You're
not always that chipper.
I have to put on a radio voice and then
go
back to my miserable existence after I've done it.
It's not. It's just I'm like, whoa, who's talking to me?
It's me. I'm the morning radio DJ from your local radio station.
Well, you have not listened to the radio in a while. That's not how they sound.
They're probably much more chipper than that.
They're weirdly chipper, yes. This is not the before the after the show discussion. It was actually this movie, the person in the movie.
The before the after the show discussion was actually, I was talking about how you get grey hair.
True.
We've all got some grey hairs if you're over a certain age, right?
I don't know.
I looked it up, and what I learned was from Harvard Medical University, your hair doesn't turn grey. It grows grey. Like, you can't have a black hair and then all of a sudden it's a grey hair.
I think everyone knows that already. I'm not sure why
I had no idea.
But I don't know why there had to be a study for that. I think we all know that. We've never looked at someone one day and been like, oh, half of that strand of hair just turned gray. I mean, I think we all know it grows in gray.
I did not know.
Sorry, Harvard.
So thank you, Harvard, for doing that research. And being very cruel to animals for it, probably, because that's what it said.
Yeah.
They made sure mice were really stressed to see what happened. That doesn't sound right, does it?
It does not. I mean, it gave you your answer you wanted, though.
It did. So thank you and not thank you for that. So it's Saturday, July the 22nd. This is After the Show, your weekly movie review podcast. And on episode 797, we're looking at the movie SISU. It's a 2023 movie. You can watch it now on streaming and on Blu-ray. Lionsgate sent us a Blu-ray to review. It's rated R from our friends at Lionsgate. Give us the synopsis, Sid Talk, of the movie SISU.
Well, I'll give you we start off by us being told that this word has no translation. It's a Finnish word, but then they translate it for us. It's like an undeterrable determination. This person has only the will to keep going, and they keep going.
Yes.
There is nothing can stop them, right? So that's what SISU means. So it's just about a dude, World War II, he's Finnish. The asshole Nazis are in Finland. They're about to lose the war, so they're acting like extra complete assholes. And so he sort of kicks into SISU mode.
I'll give you the one off the box.
Oh, it won't be that good.
When an ex-soldier who discovers gold in the Lapland wilderness tries to take the loot into the city, Nazi soldiers led by a brutal SS officer battle him.
You know what? I don't even think the gold is a factor in this story.
I mean, it's the beginning and end of the story.
True, but I don't think it's relevant. The indeterrable or undeterrable determination applies to many people and circumstances in this movie, not just this guy, right?
Right.
So he's determined, first of all, to just keep going. Clearly, okay, he's lost his family in the war. We find out throughout he was a soldier, like a really murderous soldier for Finland. Then he backed out of the war, and now he's been searching for gold, like panning for gold.
Yeah.
So he's got a determination on many levels. His family was killed, clearly. That's what we're told. And then we meet other people who are equally determined to keep going with what they're doing. The women that we meet who are held captive by the Nazis. The Nazis themselves, the guy who knows he's screwed when this war is over, like their major general guy, whatever he is, right?
Yeah.
He's just as determined as our guy. So it kind of applies to everybody.
It's not like a true life story. It's fantastical, right?
Correct.
And it's really heightened. The only thing that's real here is that battle happened. The one where they started setting fire to everything, the Nazis.
That Helsinki was bombed and Finland was. So the deal with the war was Germany then implemented, well, we'll say, not Germany like the whole country, but Nazi Germany people. Nazis played the, what's it called? Scorched Earth card, which is just so fucked up. I mean, seriously, there's
just
your first
burn
F
the
word.
whole thing.
You're going to get the F word a lot in this because I have a lot to say about dictatorships and tyrants and all that bullshit. But they have a torched earth policy because they know they're losing, right? So like a whiny little snot bag. Ew, we're going to lose. And we're just going to burn everything down because we're weak and stupid. And so they're burning the whole country, bombing Helsinki, which looked like a pretty advanced city for the 40s because I'm uneducated. I don't know about this. And so everywhere.
I mean, it's like London.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think England had got the torched earth policy, but the Nazis had actually rooted in Finland. And now as they're kind of being forced to leave, they're just burning everything down. And this guy now has to kind of push his way through that destruction to get his gold to the city.
So, yeah, it's just a mission of him. I've found some gold. I'm taking this gold to the bank at all costs. And in between him and the bank are just a small group of Nazis, actually. Not the whole Nazi army, right? It's just this small group who decide, they hear about him. I mean, they figure out from their intelligence that he's this guy you shouldn't mess with, a.k.a. John Wick, right?
Yes.
Also, this guy's got a dog.
Correct.
So there are similarities.
And all you say every time you see the dog is, please don't kill his dog.
Yes.
Please don't kill. If you think he's bad now, wait till you kill his dog.
And don't mess with his horse. He's got a horse and a dog. One of them's going to get messed with, and he's not going to be very pleased about it. He's just this walking army who can take on anything, it seems. Every solution he comes up with to a problem, because there are many problems throughout the movie, it wasn't the solution I was thinking of. It was the solution, okay, they're coming at me with a tank, machine guns, explosives, and mines. His solution is to light himself on fire.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how is that going to fix anything? But it actually does fix exactly what he...
Also, one solution was to pick up a landmine and throw it at a guy.
Yes.
That's ballsy right there.
He throws a landmine at a guy, and then he throws a landmine that blows a guy up, and then the guy's leg flies off and hits another landmine and blows up.
Yeah, if we haven't described it yet, it's very bloody. It's very violent. It has definitely, like, I wince a lot. Some of the most violent things are when he's trying to tend his own wounds, like digging metal out of his skin and a bullet and sewing himself up with pieces of metal. You know, you're just like, That's like the hardest part for me to take, because I can handle gore because, you know, I like it kind of, but it is hardcore if you don't like visions of blood.
The director said he was inspired by First Blood.
Yeah.
Rambo. And I always remember in that movie, all the shooting, all the everything, it never bothered me, even when I was young when I watched it. But the scene where he has to sew his own arm up, I was wincing. I couldn't look at it. You know what I'm like with operation stuff. So if you think about that scene in Rambo, there's a scene in this movie where he has to deal with the wounds on his body that is 500 times worse than that.
It's not good.
He's poking things. He's pouring petrol in wounds. It's horrible.
Mud.
Yeah. The whole thought of what he was doing to himself, I'm like, nobody could live through that, surely. Isn't the infection everywhere?
See, this is why I like this director, because he says he doesn't want to make some stupid movie about two people fighting and arguing in the kitchen. He wants to make a movie that's about something you will never see, but he wants to ground it in some sense of reality. You will never see a guy catch his, what's it called? Pickaxe into the bottom of an airplane as it's taking off and then hang on long enough to bang his way into the bottom of the plane and crawl into the plane, and then more violence ensues. You're not going to see that, right? We all know that's not even plausible.
No.
We can't say that, I guess. All things might be possible.
I think Tom Cruise might be able to do that.
He knows this, right? The director, writer, guys knows this, but that's what he wants to see, is a thing you're not going to see. And so when the guy lights himself on fire and jumps in the lake, or how about in the lake when the Nazis jump in to go down and get him?
Oh, yeah.
Let's not forget, he's got 2 big bags of gold. So it weighs him. When he jumped in the water, it took him down to the bottom. He waits at the bottom because he knows the Nazis will come in. He then slices their throat. Sorry if it upsets you listening to this, but it's not real. It's a movie. It's all fiction. There's lots of stunt people and special effects and safety and all that. He cuts their throat and then uses the air that's coming up out of their lungs for himself so he can stay under the water longer. You don't see that. I don't see that in other things. So I think it's fascinating. And if you're sitting there just picking at it like, oh, that would never happen. Well, he would never survive that. You're kind of missing the point, because the idea is of a person, even in real life circumstances, there are people who have survived incredible odds, right?
Yeah.
So the idea is that you are so determined. I think that some of his determination isn't just to get the gold to the bank, but it's like a big fuck you to these people who think they can come and just take everything and destroy everything. Yeah, gold is kind of the most obnoxious symbol of conquering that or whatever. I don't know how to say it. I mean, saving a life or whatever, which he does throughout the movie as well. But the gold seems like kind of a, but the gold isn't the thing. It's like, you will not decide for me that I'm not getting what I've earned, because he found it, he dug it up, the whole bit, to where it needs to go. And I think that's part of his anger, is like, I'm just sick of you people. I'm just sick and tired of you. And I'm not giving up until I either do drop dead. We've had some anti-hero people like Mike from Saul, or from the, he just kind of quietly went off. I'm talking about people who have fought the good fight. They've been clever. They've done all the stuff. But then in the end, they just sort of sit there, and yes, someone has either shot them or stabbed them, or they're just worn out from being blown up. But they just quietly sit there and fade away. At the end of everything else, they've accomplished their goal, and now they're done.
Yes.
Quietly. Like they're not the ones who fall off the building or get dropped out of a plane or whatever. They just sort of like fade away.
Now, one thing that's incredible about this movie that I didn't know until the end is the whole movie cost $6 million to make, which is not a lot of money to make a movie. Low budget by movie standards. The special effects in this movie, some of the special effects I didn't know were special effects.
The airplane wasn't even real.
There's things that are not even there in this movie that you would never question were there. There's an actual action sequence involving a plane. I've seen Hollywood movies that cost 7 times this price, where the plane doesn't look real.
Correct.
This whole thing looked... I didn't have a nitpick about anything. I wasn't like, hey, that guy looks like a rag doll flying through the air. Or it just all looked plausible for what it was. I mean, not plausible because there's some ridiculous things happening, but I was like, wow, this special effect team are amazing. And then we watched the extras, which was about the special effects. And there were so many things there where I was like, okay, that was not something I...
No, I was totally shocked when they're like in that scene where the plane's sitting right behind them and it's not there at all. Like, that's amazing.
There was also a scene, I mean, they did have a real tank, but there was also a scene in that little extras documentary where the tank wasn't a real tank. And I was like, that special effect looks exactly like the real tank. But they do use a real tank in this movie. It's on a small scale, isn't it, really, like the actual action?
Yeah.
We've got a tank, a truck, and a motorbike. That's pretty much it. And the people.
And lots of explosions, but landmines, or they do shoot the tank at him a couple of times, which is hilarious. Like using a tank to shoot at a guy.
Like at very close range. We're just going to fire the tank at you. And maybe we'll hit you, maybe we won't. You know what I got a bit of vibes out of with the women in the Thing? Can you imagine?
Which?
Women in the Thing, convoy going along.
No.
Mad Max Fury Road.
Oh, right.
Because that was a similar scenario. There's some ladies, let's say, Finnish ladies, in the Nazis' truck in the middle there. They're doing horrible things to them because they imply that.
Correct.
And these ladies, to me, I don't know if this was just my mind, looked like they were biding their time until they can murder the Nazis.
Well, the one young woman,
they looked like they had an idea.
The young woman who turns out to have the equal determination that he did. You just saw it. They just had it. So she was like, I get it. This is happening and these terrible things are happening. But I'm telling you now, I get one opportunity and you fuckers are dead.
Yeah.
And then she got her opportunity and she took it.
And that's what I really liked. It wasn't our guy rescuing these women. The women rescue themselves.
Well, I mean, the thing is, you said that before, but it actually is, because if he hadn't done what he did, they wouldn't have had the opportunity. That's just...
I feel like they would have got one of those guys in the back, took the gun, and then escalated it.
Not just him to, start the attack, I think, But they also needed her to remind everyone, because when she told the story to the soldiers about the guy, so this guy has sort of a legendary, I mean, it's modern day legend to everyone. Like Finland people know it. The German army knows it, about the one man who tried to defeat the communist army when they invaded Finland. So that's when the Russian army invaded Finland. That's when his family was killed. And then he became like a mercenary one-man killing machine to kill as many communists as he possibly could who were invading his country, right? Then he becomes a soldier against the Nazis, but then he backs out. So he's killed hundreds of Russian soldiers, and everyone knows it. Even this woman in the back of the truck is like, we know him. That's why she explains to us the definition of SISU, is that he will not give up. And her saying that out loud to the other women and to the two soldiers, she kind of puts a little fear into the soldiers.
Yeah. Oh, not a little.
Puts the determined, they both look at each other like, shit, But it also reminds the women, we have nothing to lose now. We literally have nothing more to lose. So we are going to take this, and we're taking this opportunity, and we're going to do our thing. You know what I mean? So I think it was a combination.
Yeah.
And also, they helped him because he couldn't maybe have defeated, because there was like 12 or 15 more Nazis there. And the way they all organized it, the young women were able to put an end to many of the Nazis themselves. So they helped him. He helped them. I think it was a mutually exclusive, good relationship there.
So it's a badass action movie. It doesn't have tons of dialogue.
No.
In fact, there are big swathes of it where you're like, nobody's speaking at all.
Yeah, exactly.
I would say the first 20 minutes, there isn't a word, just a couple of screams where he finds some gold. He's like, ah.
True.
But yeah, even when it gets to like, oh, maybe this could turn into a talkie movie, it never does. It's just an action movie. Occasionally they have to tell you something, but it's very rare that somebody's really speaking. Some people would say, well, isn't that boring? Not at all, right?
Not at all.
It moves at a pace. When it was over, I was like, oh, really? It felt really short. But that was just because I was enjoying it. It was actually nearly 2 hours. Let's get on to the cast. Jorma Tamila plays Atami. He's the main guy. Is it Atami?
I don't know how to say his name.
I want to call him Sisu, but it's not his name.
No.
He is amazing. As a stuntman, he's amazing. Because I was reading on the site there that he did his own stunts, which is like a Keanu Reeves move, isn't it? Just do your own thing. But he was amazing. He had to fight. He had to, hang from an aeroplane. We saw him hanging from the aeroplane in the green screen, didn't we, at the end?
Yes.
He was amazing. Did you like him?
Yes. I feel like he gave me vibes of, you know who? Henry, serial killer.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah.
He did a lot of acting with his body.
And he just gave me the vibe that the guy who played Merle from Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Who are we talking about? Rooker could, that's the vibe I got. This sort of like, I know I'm already terrible and I've done terrible things, but I'm over it. And I'm prepared to destroy everything in my path. And he just, every time you'd zoom in on his face, or he'd make the like, ugh, sound like grunting and dealing with the pain, when he's digging at himself, all that stuff to me is like, I was sold. I was totally sold on it.
He's just a real hard bastard.
Yeah.
We've got Axel Henny, who plays Bruno. He's the SS officer. He's our main bad guy, basically, in this whole thing. I loved his arc, actually, how cocky he was at the beginning and how uncocky he was when he realized this is fucked. I'm not going to get out of it.
And I'm just going to bail.
Yeah, he's literally like at the beginning with his SS uniform, sitting on a tank with the barrel of the tank in between his legs, like with no care in the world.
Yeah.
And towards the end, when he knows that, oh, I'm going to get killed here, he goes up on the tank and like scurries into the little hole like a rat. But I thought he was awesome. The arc he had was brilliant. It was just like, this guy's a cocky bastard. And slowly throughout the movie, he's realizing, I don't think I can win.
He's also accepted because he says, we're losing the war. So he's losing. Also, remember, they've just come from the cities where they've bombed and murdered everyone and hung a bunch of men on poles.
And take the women.
So his attitude has to be, and people have done this in real life. Let's not forget, that's a real thing, that people have done these things in life, in history, whenever, right? There have been people who have done these terrible things. the next thing would be, I've done all that. There is nothing else I can do that can ever bring me back from that. So his attitude now is getting away from being punished for being a Nazi. So he sees the gold and now he's like, okay, I can escape being punished. So he kind of turns from being the cocky Nazi, like you said, to being like a guy who's going to try to like escape to a tropical island somewhere. You know what I mean? He goes, instead of being the badass who wants to really, he does fight it out in the end, but he was kind of weaseling out a little bit.
Jack Doolan, who's a British actor, plays Wolf. He's probably the only British person in this whole thing. You've seen him in other things. What did you think of him? He's the guy with the gun who's...
the slimy guy.
He's not a great shot, to be fair. He gets many chances to kill the guy.
No, he's a really good shot. He shot the guy across the lake.
He did, but every time he had to shoot at the guy or the dog or whatever, he always missed. I was like, wow, this guy sucks. He's like a stormtrooper.
Stormtrooper, yeah. No, he was really sleazy, and I don't want to like the person who played him even. So
he had a great ending, let's say. It's pretty good.
Yeah, he didn't end though. Remember?
No,
he was alive when they brought him in.
Well, I like that. Suffer.
Yes.
We've got Mimosa Willamo as Aina. She's the main lady.
She's a lady who you see the determination in her face all of a sudden when she's like, okay, now, because you know what they do with the women? They tie them together and make them walk ahead of the tank
to get the mines.
Make sure that there are no line mines in the way. So at that point, when she's walking, she's got her fists straight down like, I'm going to be blown up. And then there must be something in her character's mind that's like, if I don't blow up, I'm going to do something. You know what I mean? Like, and then she had her opportunity.
Oni Tormiller plays Schultz. He's the guy with the burned head who's actually, I put him down because he's the son of the main guy in real life. Also really good. Directed by Jolmari Hollander. He's directed a couple of other movies, Finnish movies. But one of the Finnish movies was starring Samuel L. Jackson, I was just reading. Neither of them did particularly well, but they're supposed to be pretty good action movies. What do you think of this guy's direction? You know what I really liked? He uses really wide shots.
Yep.
That are just awesome to look at. He knows how to film the countryside, which in this movie is a lot of it. Looks brilliant.
And his cinematographer / art director, oh my goodness, it's amazing. It looks amazing. It's gorgeous. He got the best out of all the people.
He even films scenes in the nighttime that look amazing. Like, you're not like, I can't see what's happening.
Yeah, gorgeous.
The whole thing looked great. He does that thing with the chapters. It has chapters, this movie. You know, like, is it 6 chapters?
I don't know. I didn't count.
It really has that grindhousey, like, font and everything. So it makes it, you know, I immediately thought of Quentin Tarantino. And so did you. You mentioned him once, didn't you?
I wasn't thinking of that because of the titles. Also, the titles aren't from grindhouse movies. They're from like old Western movies.
Spaghetti Westerns, yeah.
Right.
Which also
But that's not what made me think of Quentin Tarantino. What made me think of him was this idea that whoever's getting kicked around is not going to take it anymore. And when they fight you, you are dead. When this person who you've been like pushing down and pushing around, like the bride, for example, you push her far enough, and it doesn't even matter what happens in all of the future, you're going to be dead.
Yes. Like,
that's the trajectory where we're going. It could be 20 years from now. It could be in, you know, when she's old, you're going to be dead. And that's what I like about, that's why I thought of Quentin Tarantino.
IMDb reviews. These are the reviews that have 1 star. And people, there are some people who don't like it, even though it did get a 7 out of 10 on IMDb, which is great. So here's the people who hated this movie. The first guy says, imagine taking Arnold Schwarzenegger and Terminator and combining it with Rambo, and then combining it with 300. You get this over-the-top, unbelievable movie that is awful. This guy could give Superman a run for the money, but he is not vulnerable to kryptonite. I don't know why.
There's a person who can't handle that somebody is that. The idea of this person, even the people in the movie, the legend is that he's immortal, right? They've come to that level of telling the story of this character that he's immortal. Even he doesn't think he's immortal. He just won't give up. That's like the whole thing. A person who can't cope with that, it's got a little bit of personal, like, lack of confidence, I think.
Second guy says, low budget, dumb story, illiterate screenwriters. They used a Soviet T-55 tank which was made almost a decade after World War II. Idiots.
Oh, yes, we love that kind of attention to detail.
And third one says, appalling. This is Tarantino meets a spaghetti western, but the worst of both genres. I hate this Finnish film, and it's hit the big time now. It sucks. So that's they're the people who don't like this movie, which is not us, by the way. Those are not the views of us. So extras, there are a couple. There's the making of the movie and the special effects. Really interesting to see the special effects because it was one of the standout things for me. Let's give SISU a score. I am going to give this movie an 8 out of 10.
I'm going to give it an 8.5.
It's well made. You know what it is, and it fulfills on what it is, and it's satisfying. I thought the ending was awesome. What was the last chapter called? Kill 'em all?
I think so.
When that came up, I was like, yes, that is exactly how I want this movie to go. So yeah, brilliant. SISU, watch it. Thank you to Lionsgate. Next week, we're going to look at the movie Reality. All right, so movie recommendations, I am going with Kill Bill for the reasons you said earlier.
Right on.
And Inglourious Bastards for the reasons it is also an awesome kind of World War II movie.
Determination.
Yeah.
Yeah, a person who's got lots of determination.
So yours are?
Mine are going to science fiction for all of the 21st century, starting with the year 2000. I'm up to the year 2016 with a movie that you and I both agree had potential, but unfortunately it wasn't super satisfying. Passengers.
I don't think it's terrible. I just think it's middling.
It doesn't give you any like, I mean, it's an interesting concept, but you can watch it if you want. It's got Guardians of the Galaxy guy and Hunger Games lady, you know?
Katniss and...
It's one of those weird ones, though. Then we also have Rogue One of your universe or galaxy that you love so.
One of the best Star Wars movies in my eyes.
And then we have Stranger Things came to our lives in 2016, which seems like a long time ago, but there you go. That's a TV show, not a movie.
Still not over.
And Suicide Squad, also 2016, which would have been the one with Will Smith and whatnot, right?
Yeah, that one, yeah.
And then The Bad Batch, which was actually really interesting. You know?
Not the Star Wars Bad Batch.
There's a Bad Batch Star Wars?
Yeah, there's an animated series called The Bad Batch.
Oh, no, this is something else. It's very fascinating.
Yeah, this one's very interesting. Where it's set is really interesting.
It's kind of like Mad Max, future, not future. Everything is weird and yeah, it's very interesting.
Keanu Reeves is in it.
Mm-hmm. He is.
It's very interesting. Yeah, I don't think I've seen a film quite as mad as that movie.
A character gets her leg amputated without her knowledge. Yeah.
You don't know what's coming next. You're like, what is happening? Like, it's crazy. Yeah, I like it.
Basically, the premise is they just put everyone who's a criminal or decided to be a criminal on one side of this big giant fence. They've like fenced it in. And then it's just like its own society, which is sort of like Escape from New York or Escape from LA that they've just walled in.
It's got the vibe of that, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Post-apocalyptic, Mad Maxy, but it's really interesting.
Yeah. Very good.
Another person who's very determined.
True. A Scully stuff this week. I've been playing Diablo Immortal quite a bit.
Yeah.
You might not know, Diablo 4 came out recently. This is not Diablo 4 that I'm playing. It's Diablo Immortal. And it's the cell phone game, which I was like, surely a cell phone game isn't going to be very good. But this is also available on PC, cell phone, and handheld devices of any, that play Android games. So I've been playing it on my PC and on my handheld device. And it's just a full-fledged Diablo game. It's online. It's got missions that you go on. It's got a whole story that's completely separate from all the other Diablo games. And it's completely free to play. If you want to play it, you can play through. I haven't spent 1 penny on it. You can buy cosmetic items and stuff like that, as usual with mobile games. It's just something that's there. But if you just ignore all that part of the game and just play the game part, it's really fun. It's Diablo. You play it with a controller. It's got the same graphics level as like a Diablo 3 or 4. It's not like a weak, watered-down version. It's just basically a mobile version of Diablo. Free to play. It's on Google Play or go to Blizzard's site and you can get it there. Sito, what's for dinner?
Once again, We're having the Larry David pasta. Now, last week we lied. I said we're going to have Larry David pasta. It's not Larry David pasta. It's a brand that has a picture of a guy on it that looks like Larry David. And then I changed my mind and we had Subway. But I'm determined tonight because I have homegrown tomatoes I'm making into the sauce.
Nice.
So, I mean, I've got plenty of time. I think I can handle it.
And what's your advice? And let's get out of it.
It's not advice. It's just an invitation. I have a very hard line about some things in life and other things I don't. You know, it's like life is life and it's hard and people make decisions and you deal with the consequences, etc. But what I would like to have a conversation with tyrants and bullies and dictators, the ones who, you might even be a young person right now, but you know you're going to turn into one of these fuckers, right? You know it. You're going to try something. I just have some questions for you, either at that early stage or when you've already started your little brainwashy cult, or when you've already tried to conquer or defeat a whole group of people just to bend to your fucking will. I have some questions for you, right? First, what problem are you solving in life, in the whole of the world and humans living in all different places? One group of people might have a good source of water and one group of people might be living in a desert and need some water. The group of the people in the desert, if they have a person in that group who's like, you know what, we're going to go and we're going to negotiate and talk and maybe we have something they want. And no, it's not idealistic because this is how the world keeps from completely destroying itself, right? Humans, because there are people who are willing to work it out and say, you know what, you've got the water. Hey, we've got this and we do that and work it out. Or there could be a person in the group in the desert who's like, fuck the people with the water. I want all the water. Not because they want to solve the problem of giving their people water, because they are broken. There is something wrong with them that they want to take and take and take what isn't theirs to satisfy something inside them. They think they're solving a real problem. They're not. It's just a personality problem, right? So you've got that. So I'm like, what problem are you solving? Are you solving your own feeling of inadequacy, your own problems of lacking confidence or feeling like you're nothing in the world? So bullying people and taking over a whole society, that makes you feel important? Is that the problem you're solving? Okay, so that's your first question. Second question is, who in the world, in the whole of the world, matters to you? And don't give me any bullshit about your people, like, oh, my people. That's why I'm destroying other cultures and other places for my people. They don't matter to you because I know the answer. You matter to you. That's it. If you can convince me of a different answer, fine, I'll listen. But I'm pretty sure you're the only one that matters in your mind. And you pretend other people matter, but they don't. So that's number two. Finally, what is the final vision of your tyrannical dictatorship, trying to dominate and conquer other people in the world? What are you seeing happening 5 years from now? Let's do it like a job interview. Where are we going to be, Mr. Dictator or Ms. Dictator, 5 years from now? What's your vision? What is the plan? If you think that right now to dominate a city where you can make people act the way you want, or have the religion that you want, or not have the religion that you want, or vote a certain way, or everyone has to work really hard to make the money and no one gets a free ride, whatever the thing is that you're deciding for everyone, what's next? When do you think there's going to be a time when everyone in the whole world that you are now tyrannical control over is going to agree with you, and it's going to be the vision that you have in mind? So think of fictional people like little Anakin Skywalker, right?
Yeah. His
vision is that there'll be no more fighting in the universe, in the galaxy. I mean, not the whole universe. That's too big for him because he's a little guy. That's his theory is I could just make everything better if I just blow up a few planets and scare the shit out of some people and steal the lives away from people and run them into the dirt just so that I can make everything kind of even for everyone, right? That's not a good vision. If you think you can control a country or a group of any size, even if you think in your family, you've got 5 kids and your wife or your husband and you're in your house, and you think that being a dictator over that group of people is going to come out to success to make your vision what you think it's going to be, you are incorrect. but I want you to tell me what it is. I want you to lay a plan for me. I want to hear your business plan for running the fucking world, because you're wrong, first of all, that it's ever going to happen. So in the process, you're just trying to dominate and destroy. And we're going to go back to that one question about who matters to you. It's always going to be just you. So I'd rather you just give up. Maybe you can crawl in a hole somewhere and just go. Or maybe you can just change your mind and not be a complete asshole. So there you go. Any dictators, tyrants, or bullies who would like to converse with me, knock yourself out.
She will buy you a boba tea.
I will buy you. Why a boba tea? Bubble tea sounds good.
If you look on top of my computer today, I have a boba tea, and that's what I was thinking about.
I'll buy you a coffee or a tea or whatever the thing is, and we can have a sit down over the kitchen table, because I want people, and it's a thing, people are like this. There are people in the human race who are like this, and they have they are the destroyers. That is it. You know, they're only taking, they're not, if someone comes to attack me or my group, then yeah, I will do what it takes to defend and push you back, right? I'm not going to then look over the street and go, oh, they have a nice car over there. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go blow those fuckers up so I can take their car. Or, oh, look, they have a whatever, better yard than me. So I'm going to go over there and murder all them so I can live in their house so I can have a nicer yard. Or so I can go over there and tell them that their kids shouldn't be doing whatever they're doing. I don't like that my neighborhood kids are playing video games, so I'm going to go murder all the parents and make sure none of those kids play video games ever again. I mean, it's that ridiculous. It's that ridiculous.
All right. Thank you, Sid Talk. That was a great talk.
It's a big, that's my TED Talk. Thank you for dictators and bullies. Just let me know. I want to know more. I want to be educated.
All right, ascully.com is where you can go to get this podcast. You can also go to Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We're also on Threads. Is it called Threads? I can't remember.
I don't know. I gave up. I think it's kind of dumb, but whatever.
We're also
no offense.
on... I mean, it's basically just another version of Twitter, and we do post on there. Or I do, at least.
And I'm not a big fan of Twitter either. For my own personal reasons, nothing to do with anything that you would think.
We're on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon Music, YouTube, anywhere where podcasts are available. You can email feedback to me, ascully@ascully.com. Don't email Sid Talk. She doesn't want your emails. And finally...
Unless you're a dictator or a tyrant. And be sure and put that in the subject line.
I want to say stay classy. Jalmari Halanda, who's the director of this movie. I am a fan after this movie. Thank you.
Nice. And I'm going to say, think for yourself, or someone is probably trying to do it for you.